Alright, YouTube Axis and Allies brethren, welcome back to Turret 2 for this classic edition variant version game between No Limit as the Allies and myself, Captain Jack, as the Axis. So this is round 1 turn for Japan, so J1. For their production, they will be producing 2 transports, 1 tank, and 1 infantry. So 2 transports, 1 tank, and 1 infantry. Alright, so for combat this turn, in India we have 2 infantry and 1 fighter coming in from Burma, going into India. So 2 infantry and 1 fighter going into India from Burma. In China, we have 2 infantry from Manchuria, 2 infantry from Manchuria, leaving 1 behind. And the fighter is going to come in as well from Manchuria. 2 infantry from Kwangtung. And 1 fighter and 1 bomber from Japan. The fighter from Manchuria will have 3 spaces left in its fuel gauge. The fighter from Japan will have 1 space left in its fuel gauge. And the bomber from Japan will have 3 spaces left in its fuel gauge. Alright, so that's all going into China. 1 infantry staying behind in Manchuria. Okay, so for Pearl Harbor, we have the battleship from Japan coming down. We have the submarine from the Solomon Islands sailing north. We have the aircraft carrier and fighter. Well, the fighter is going to take off and move 2 spaces into Hawaii, and the carrier is going to come with it. The battleship will also be coming from the Caroline Islands. And the fighter from the Philippines will go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, and if it survives, it will land on the carrier that has a space for it. All right, so that is the first set of battles for Japan in J1. So let me get the dice ready. Well, no, I'll just go straight into it. All right, so here we go. In India, we have 2. I've got my hit dice back, by the way, so I've got those back. So I've got 2 infantry attacking at 1, so that's 2 black die. 2 black die. And a fighter attacking at a 3, so that's a blue hit die. And I can roll all this at one time, so we can roll the defending UK infantry at 2. All right. So here's the roll for India. And the fighter hit, the 2 infantry missed, but so did the UK infantry. It missed as well. So the fighter hit on blue. So the UK infantry has been destroyed. India is now in the hands of Japan. Japan will go from 25 to 28 in the IPC chart. UK will go from 30 to 27. Okay. So India is done. Now we'll do China. So we have 1 fighter at 4. We have 1 bomber at 4, 2 fighters at 3, and 4 infantry at 1. And defending there, we'll have to roll this separately. All right, so here's the attack for Japan. Looking for 3 hits. And they got 3 hits. We got one here on the black die, 1 on the blue die, and 1 on the red die. So there were 3 hits total. 3 hits total, and 4 misses. 1 hits and 4 misses. All right. So the U.S. infantry, the U.S. Forces in China will get to fire back. So we've got a fighter at a 4, and 2 infantry at 2. 2 infantry at 2. All right, so here's the roll for the American defense in China. And wow, 3 hits. So, wow, how about that? 3 hits for 2 hits for the 1 hit for the fighter and 2 hits for the infantry. So No Limit should be pleased with that. But China is now in control of the Japanese as the forces, American forces, have been eliminated. But only 1 ground force remains there for Japan, as they lost 3 infantry. So that was a costly battle there. But China will now go in the hands of Japan. So Japan will go from 28 to 30. U.S. will go from 36 down to 34. Ooh, all right. Can't take many more of those. Like the fighters I lost last round. The German fighters. Okay. All right, so next up is the Battle of Pearl Harbor. So what we've got here is we've got a sub that's coming in with a surprise strike. So I'm going to roll that first. And it was a miss. So the surprise strike sub missed. So now we'll have 2 battleships at a 4, 2 fighters at a 3, and an aircraft carrier at a 1. So we'll roll those first. That's for the American forces. So we had, all right, so we've got, nice. Okay, so we've got both battleships hit and both fighters hit. We had 4 hits and 1 miss by the aircraft carrier. So that will do it. That'll take care of everything. All we needed was 3 hits. The sub, the carrier, and the fighter for the U.S. Now the U.S. gets to fire back. Retaliation. We have an aircraft carrier defending at a 3, a fighter defending at a 4, and a sub defending at a 2. All right now. All right, just 1 hit. So the aircraft carrier missed, the sub missed, but the fighter did hit. So I'll be losing my sub. Japan will be losing their sub. But all the forces in Pearl Harbor have been destroyed. And that is not a land unit, so we didn't take Hawaii. So not IPCs change hands. All right. So that'll do it for all the combat this round. Let me pause the video and I'll come back and do non-combat. So for non-combat movements, the fighters that took place in the Battle of Japan, or Battle of China, excuse me, the Battle of China, are going to go back to Manchuria and land. The bomber is going to go back to Japan. The transport in the Philippines is going to pick up 2 infantry in the Philippines and take them to Burma. The transport in Tokyo Bay is going to pick up 1 tank and go 2 spaces to the Caroline Islands. Two spaces to the Caroline Islands. All right. I think that does it for non-combat movements. So, for placement of new units, 2 transports are going to go down in Tokyo Bay. 1 infantry in Japan and 1 tank in Japan. Okay, so that'll do it for the Japanese turn. Let's do unit recap. We have 2 infantry and 1 fighter in India. Oh, I'm sorry. That fighter can't be in India. That fighter's going back to Burma. It's going back to Burma. Sorry about that. So, 2 infantry in India. In Burma, there is 2 infantry and 1 fighter. In Kwangtung, 2 fighters. In Manchuria, 1 infantry. In China, 1 infantry. East Indies, 1 infantry. Borneo, 1 infantry. Caroline Islands, 1 infantry. New Guinea, 1 infantry. Solomon Islands, 1 infantry. Wake Island, 1 infantry. Okinawa, 1 infantry. There's a transport off the coast of Burma. In Pearl Harbor, there's 1 aircraft carrier fully loaded with 2 fighters and 2 battleships. On Japan, there are 4 infantry, 2 transports, 1 bomber, and 1 tank. So, round went pretty well except for the defeat we took in China there. Losing 3 infantry units really hurt. So, we'll see how that plays out for us the rest of the game. So, from turret 2, Captain Jack, over and out. Oh, let me mention, Japan will be collecting 30 IPCs for this round. They spent 24 of their 25, so they'll have one. They had 1 to roll over, so they'll have 31 to spend next round. Now, Captain Jack, over and out.